way to SN4, and we're already coming up on the end of this segment, sort of. But of course, SN5 conducted a 150-meter hop, successfully landed. SN6 conducted a 150-meter hop, successfully landed. 7 was a test tank. 8 was the first one with a nose cone, successfully conducted a low-altitude flight test, and blew up as it landed. 9, also successful flight test, blew up during landing. 10, successful flight test, blew up right after landing. And right there, we could just sort of go off the rails for a moment and ask,
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our coverage of this third Starship flight test. We can see still some cars at the pad. We can see some early tank farm activities here as we are just under 6 hours away from the opening of the window for the third test of Starship. The full stack here. My name is Adrian Bile, and I will be with you here for the next hour. And I am not alone here, starting with EJ. EJ, how you doing?
I'm great, Adrian. How are you?
Excited, nervous, the usual combination, I would say.
Mm.
I mean, there's apparently some big rocket flying. Did you know that?
Yeah, you get nervous for these? I don't get nervous for these. I'm ready to go. This is gonna be great. I like this plan. I'm happy to be a part of it.
I love you give just like your sign of approval. You're like, yep, good to go. Let's do it.
This is fun. This is great. And up in the middle of the night, dude, this is sweet, man. And
Nothing that. Go ahead.
being here on NSF, it's always a privilege. Always a privilege.
We are so excited to have you here, and we are also so excited to have Mr. Ryan Weber here again. Hello, Ryan.
Well, hi, Adrian. Well, I'm back. Hi, everybody. You know, EJ, yeah, it is a privilege to be here commentating for NSF. It's so much fun. You know, this is my first full Starship launch stream. I'm really excited. I want to see this thing go. You know, it's been a long road. We're here. Let's go. You know.
Oh yeah.
So, and we of course have a topic that we brought into the show because we wanna also make sure that we have I don't know, something cool to talk about. And I thought we talk about this hour about so what if this works? Like imagine a situation where Starship gets to where it wants to get to, like full reusability. We get a situation where everything works like they imagine. EJ, what do you think will be the biggest enablers from that? Like, what's the near consequence of Starship working like intended?
So, I think if IFT-3 decides to complete all set out objectives, pad turnaround, because in the past with IFT-1 and 2, right, they've had to do the they've had these FAA mishap reports, and then that takes a long time. I think if IFT-3 goes and it goes well, I mean, for what it's worth, I think it will. Chad, what do you guys think? I think it's gonna go. I think she's gonna go. I think it's gonna be perfect. Especially with what I saw from the second flight. But as long as, we don't have a mishap report, well then, next flight, next one up, right? IFT-4 right around the corner. The hardware is there. So pad turnaround and pad cycling, I think, is going to be a big thing that SpaceX is going to want to test, especially, for their contracts with NASA for human landing systems, right? They're going to have to be able to turn this pad around just as quickly as the vehicle, right? So that's something they should probably, and I think they are, going to get on sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. It's this crazy thing you have to think about, that we are talking about, oh, what if they can launch a Starship again in 1 month? And then you remember, well, for Artemis, they need to launch it way more.
Yeah,
that's
talking like every day.
Yeah.
Gotta get that pad turnaround time down.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, what's your thought on this? Like, how do you see the next year of Starship?
I agree with EJ. Like, the biggest step they got to do is pad turnaround, because as we've seen, I mean, and I know the water deluge helped a ton with helping pad turnaround. They didn't have a crater anymore. They got a nice big foundation in there. I think a really good sign of them figuring out pad turnaround is the fact that a lot of the shielding around the hold down arms got taken off. And it doesn't look like they put it back on again. So I think that SpaceX realizing they don't need as much as they thought they did. I still think they need they need some kind of water on the pad deck, kind of like, you go back to Saturn V shuttle, even SLS, and heck, Falcon, almost every rocket. Like, they need something on that OLM deck to help with refurbishment. And I think that's going to be the long lead item. I don't think turning around these vehicles is going to be that hard. I think, turning around ship with its heat shield could be a little bit tricky. But of course, they got a long ways to figure that one out. Yeah, pad's the biggest thing on this.
Jay, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ryan, you think they need something above the pad deck, so a sound suppressor?
Yeah, some kind of water system to spray on the pad deck itself to help protect it. Because right now they use burn plates, which are basically ablative plates, and they've replaced them both launches, or at least refurbished them. So,
Yeah,
interesting thought.
Interesting.
EJ, did you thought when you first heard about the shower head and the whole concept? What was your initial reaction?
Okay, I've talked about this in the past over on my end on Twitch. Hi, Twitch chat. How are you? Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I gotta say hi to them. They're over there. I see you guys. Anyway, YouTube chat, you guys are cool too. I like all you guys. This is great. So, okay, you gotta think about it this way. I mean, everybody was like, oh, why don't they put a deflector down there? A flame deflector. It needs a flame deflector. It needs a flame deflector. You know, before they put that deluge system in, I was thinking, you know, whatever you're going to put down there is probably not going to survive. I mean, if you think about the amount of power that's coming out of the bottom of this thing, it's something on par. Like the amount of energy that's given off from those 33 Raptor engines all at once is like, we're talking about a flux of energy that's like on par with a low yield nuclear blast coming out of the bottom down there. So anything that you put down there, you're probably going to lose. I mean, guys, we're a double SLS, double the space shuttle, double the Saturn V. I mean, power coming out the bottom. So I actually thought, you know, when they first put that water system in, I'm like, that's not a bad idea because, you know, water, you could just spray more of it, right? That's actually not the worst solution. I mean, if you think about it, even going back to like, you know, you go back to SLS, you go to SLS on Artemis 1, it blew the doors off the mobile launcher, right? You go back to even the shuttle. The shuttle had flame deflectors that were put underneath the mobile launcher above the flame trench. And even those things, they're basically reinforced concrete flame deflectors. Even those ablated to an extent. 39A and 39B throughout the course of the shuttle program did have to be refurbished. These pads need to be refurbished, and that's talking, you know, I don't know, like 5-6 million pounds of thrust coming through the flame trench, right at you know, SRB ignition, right? And then SLS is even higher than that, and Starship's double that. So I always thought like a solution that would be better, the water system would be a better idea, because a deflector down there is going to, I mean, it'll work. Of course it'll work, but you're going to lose that after a while. This thing's packing a punch. It packs a huge punch. I mean, you got to think about whatever you put down there needs to withstand a nuclear blast. That's kind of like my rule of thumb. That's how I explain it. Like I said, the energy flux is close. It depends on what nuke it is. For the nuke nerds out there, I know you guys are out there. I know you're out there. I see you. I know you guys are out there. I don't know if we're W58 big or W62 big. I mean, there's two big differences there. Okay, so a flame, the water deluge system makes a lot more sense, because you could just, you can always add more water, and you don't need to turn that around because the water will just turn to steam and you could just get more of it. We got a lot of water down here. It's not a bad idea.
No,
That's true. I also, when I first heard it, like, I didn't have a better idea. Like, I was like, of course, initially, like, but why not Flame Trench? But then you read up on Flame Trench, and you also notice, well, Flame Trench are also not always perfect. They also have maintenance. They also have, like, there's also problems attached to them. And then you, like, think about it and, like, well, this is a problem nobody had to solve before. It's this task of like, yeah, there's this 70-80 meganewton rocket. Please build something where we can fire that at once a day. Like, good luck. Have fun.
If they tried to do a flame trench kind of thing, I would think it would have to be somewhere along the lines of what LC-39 is, which just to say, one of those pads, I should say both of those pads each have like 52,000 cubic meters of concrete in them. Like, I don't even know if you could build something like that at Boca, for that matter. And that's with the flame trench, and then of course you even have a flame deflector in there, and you still have a water deluge. Like, I mean, that's a lot of room you got to take up for that pad. And well, they found a way to do it in a smaller footprint, so it's kind of impressive.
Absolutely. I am honestly, I love the system. It's so cool to watch. And yeah, let's also talk about Artemis and other missions here. Like, imagine a situation refueling works, and we get this kind of almost suddenly multiple times increased capability we can launch to Leo and beyond. What would be the payload you would launch? Like, EJ, if you get like one payload, one project, and you get a Starship for it, 100 tons. What are you launching?
Cybertruck. I mean, no, sorry. So, no, can I take that back? Do over?
You can. We will subtract the Cybertruck, and you get the rest of the tons, which is still a lot.
Okay, all right. 2 Cybertruck. No, are we talking about like an actual mission architecture? You want me to
like yeah.
want us to play
Not?
Kerbal here for a second? I mean,
You're playing Kerbal now.
okay. I think that Starship has a great application potentially aside from, the mainline Artemis missions as a space lab complex. Like NASA is ramping up their commercial low Earth orbit destinations program. And those are the commercial application programs that are going to eventually phase, after the ISS is gone. Please don't deorbit it. Do anything but deorbit it, please. Please.
Yes, please.
Please, just
Yes.
sell it to somebody. I don't know. Do what you got to do. Just please don't deorbit that thing. it's too good. Anyway, sorry. Having a crisis over here. I'm back. I think Starship has a great application as a potential on-orbit laboratory. I mean, because think about it. You don't need to launch modules, right? You just put the module, Space Lab style from the shuttle, put the module right in that payload bay, send it right up there. Starship is designed for long-duration transfers. It's designed. SpaceX has an overarching systems engineering stakeholder expectation that this thing needs to be able to get do a transit out to Mars. The best way to do that would be testing it out in low Earth orbit for long periods of time. Maybe send a Dragon up there and have a Dragon dock to it, rotate crews off of this thing, and then when you're done, you bring the whole shebang right back down. Not only do you get to inspect something that's been up in space for a very long period of time, right? But you get everything back. You get it all back. So I'm thinking get a 9-meter module, put that sucker in there with a radial outward docking port on the leeward side of Starship, have the payload bay doors open, right? And then have spacecraft be able to dock and undock with this thing. Boom, instant Skylab, instant reusable Skylab. I mean, that's what I'd do. I don't know about
what
you guys.
crazy word, by the way, instant reusable Skylab. That's quite a sentence.
Yeah.
I'd like
Ryan,
that.
Okay,
Good.
I have a question regarding this, Adrian. Okay, does it have to be one single launch, like just one?
No, I mean, we are kind of like, what do you mean? Like, just go wild. Just go all wild.
Mission architecture wise, use Starship to build a dry dock in space to build other ships. Like, yep. and then you build that ship in space, like the Starship Enterprise. Yes, I'm gonna go Star Trek here, and then you use that to explore the solar system. Wait,
which Enterprise? Some of the Enterprises were built on the ground. This is important.
Don't get me started with those. Like NX-01, or the original Constitution class, like the one from Matt Jeffries.
Yes. All right, my guy. Yeah. All right, I wasn't sure if you could answer that. That's good.
We're not going Kelvin timeline here. We're going like the original Matt Jeffries design, like from TOS. God. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those kind. Yeah. That's what I want.
All right. I like this plan. It's a good plan.
Yeah, as a person that has never watched a single episode of Star Trek, I just agree.
Oh man, yeah. See.
I'm
sorry, Adrian.
I'm sorry. I would launch I will quickly deploy my decoy here.
Wait, no, yeah. I got one, Adrian. Sorry, Adrian. A BC. Well, it doesn't have to be a BC-304, but like the Daedalus class from Stargate.
See, that I can talk there, and yes, please.
Yes.
I want that.
No, we don't have a hyperdrive though, so that has to get solved.
I will say something other here. I want really high resolution imagery of every planet in the solar system, and not like, we are sending like a small payload. I want highest level possible resolution of every single planetary body in the system. That's my first. I want on Starship.
Oh, you activated Harry. Harry came out of the depths of chat because his imagery senses were tingling.
I can already tell you that Harry and I maybe in the past already had this discussion, and I already said exactly this. So I knew I would get Harry with that. And yes, I want just high resolution. Like, isn't it? I think it should be a achievable goal to have highest resolution imagery possible of every planetary body in our system to understand them better.
Yeah. How about all three? Can we get all three of those ideas? Like all of them?
Yeah, that's the good
more?
thing. There's more than one
Yeah.
starship. More than one starship actually. They're building more than one of this. Apparently.
Really? I didn't know that, Adrian. Okay. That's good to
Yeah,
know.
it's quite crazy.
I mean, we saw one of them roll back. What, yesterday? I think it was at this. No, 2 days ago.
29.
I've lost
He's
track
a
of time
beast.
now.
Chad is, by the way, suggesting here an interstellar probe. Just like maybe catching up to Voyager.
Upgraded
okay.
Voyager.
Okay, I got one for you, Chad. How about we take Centaur 5? We put Centaur 5 inside a Starship's payload bay with a Voyager probe on that. Starship flies up, deploys it shuttle Centaur G style, sends that thing off into deep space. You'll catch up with Voyager 1 that way.
So we give it like all the power we have.
Oh yeah.
Basically the full yeet.
Yep.
I like
Nothing
that.
wrong with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see
Good
that.
idea.
So
I actually also wanted to point out real quick, I said, reusable Skylab. The interesting thing is that minus the Apollo docking module, the actual pressurized volume minus the airlock and the docking module of Skylab can actually fit in Starship's payload bay. Just thought I'd put that out there. If you've ever been to the Smithsonian in DC, anybody out there? You've seen the Skylab 2 model? Yeah, that fits inside of Starship's payload bay. That whole thing fits in there. That's the volume we're talking here.
That's completely crazy. Like 9 meters is such a, like, we always say, oh, Starship is 9 meters wide, right? Like we always throw this number around. But once you stand next to an object that is actually 9 meters wide, you're then like, oh,
it's a monster. It's a monster, monster capability.
And to add on, future Starship here, like they're gonna have so much more capability. Like they may extend the tanks. Heck, you can even add rings to the payload bay. You can add 3 more RVAC engines, more capacity, more capability. It's gonna be kind of crazy when we get to like a fully operational Starship. What this thing could truly do, like if it does work out, it's gonna be crazy. So cool.
It's the best parts of the space shuttle and the best parts of Saturn V with some methane sprinkled on top. It's fantastic.
and a good chunk of Falcon 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of Falcon in there.
That's a perfect analogy. It's like Saturn V shuttle and Falcon 9 all rolled into one to try to make one of the best rockets ever.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I signed up for this newsletter.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I'm not sure which newsletter it actually is. The Rocket Combination newsletter? I don't know, but it's certainly a newsletter. We have Travis Cecil here with a $20 super chat saying, with 100 tons alone, Starship needs to start assembling the largest telescope array of telescopes in solar orbit between Earth and Venus.
I agree. Yep, that's a good idea.
Also nice, yes.
Yeah, we should do that.
Subscribe.
Can we? Yep. Also on the list, just like put the giant list next to this, and like we are writing it down and sending it to NASA tomorrow. Like, just that's what this is the pitching hour. We're just pitching ideas here.
Yep.
Let's see. H with a $10 super chat. Hey, he's saying, I know this is a little less wacky. What do you mean, little less wacky? But how likely is it that Starship could work on asteroid mining?
So, okay. Starship could do it with refueling. It really depends on where the asteroid is. If we're going to try to wrangle an asteroid, bring it into rectilinear halo orbit, I would think Starship would be good as an intermediary in this regard. So, I think we would need like some kind of kick stage inside a Starship, and then have the mining vessel and maybe an asteroid redirector on that, and then have Starship go out to a station at Earth Moon L1. That's a Lagrangian point. For the people that don't know, that's a neutral point in gravity between Earth and the moon. If we build some kind of outpost out there, or heck, you could even use Gateway, which is rectilinear halo, which is a little bit different. That's some nerd speak, but I'm pretty sure that you guys know what that means. Having some stages go out there to redirect asteroids and bring them into near a Lagrangian point or into a rectilinear halo orbit around the moon, I think would be better. And then send the Starship out there with the mining equipment, right? Get it out there, and then bring it back. But see, here's the thing: if you're gonna mine asteroids, it doesn't really make sense to, go grab those raw materials and bring them back down to the surface. From there, from mining, you'd want on-orbit manufacturing. So that's what like Ryan was saying. Some dry docks there and the ability to smelt down the asteroid ore up in space and manufacture, steel or aluminum or, what have you, and then use that for on-orbit fabrication. I think there's a huge potential there. We're a little ways off from that. Let's get to the moon first. That'd be good. But I think there's a huge application there. It's a good idea. Should do that. Should do that too. I like all these ideas. These are all good ideas. We should do all the things.
Yeah,
Like-
all of them.
I like the fact that Starship, even if it's not directly like helping with the direct course here, like for example asteroid mining, there are probably ways to do it a bit better, but it still enables it. Like it's a situation of like, maybe you need like a more high performance upper stage, but then like, well, Starship helps you get that high performance upper stage in space. So there you go.
And I mean, let's not even discount. I know this is a Starship stream, but let's not discount some of the other capabilities. Like Starship gets the big vehicle up there, and this is space. So like a New Glenn or Vulcan or any of these other rockets, they hook up to the big object that Starship got there.
Oof.
with a tug or a kick stage. There you go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, if Starship's working in conjunction with other Leo providers, dude, especially like a New Glen's second stage. You got twin expander cycles, 1 meganewton of thrust. It's basically a or not a methane. It's a newer version of like S1B. It's not an S1B. I know they're completely different designs. Just in case anybody out there is wondering, they're not the same. But we're talking that kind of performance there. That could be really good for some nice like intermediary shuttles, back and forth between like an asteroid in a distant orbit to a Lagrangian outpost, and then at the end of the day, you have your stage come back near low Earth orbit. Starship wrangles that, brings it back down. There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's I love that we just can, and I think that's one of the coolest thing about Starships, and not only Starship, also New Glenn. Like it enables dreaming. It enables these. Oh, we are just not launching. I mean, I don't want to trash telecommunications and other satellites in Leo. It's like they're also cool, but there are more exciting missions than, hey, we are launching a telecommunication satellite. Not to trash them, they're important, but there's other cool things.
Like
Just to point it out.
Again, it's Starship. You refuel it, you get it to Mars or the Moon. You put a Starlink network in Moon or Mars orbit, and then you have relay sats to go back to Earth. And then you get like an interplanetary communication system up and running. It's still going to have your delay because it's kind of hard to do unless you come up with some kind of QEC, something like quantum entanglement, whatever, sci-fi stuff. But it's another thing it can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any more on the wild speculation Starship front here?
I mean, I could do this all night. I could do this all night. Careful what you wish for.
I mean, we have not even talked about Mars. The funny thing is, like, we just talked about Starship, and we have not even mentioned its like primary mission, where it was initially as a concept initiated. So let's talk about Mars for a moment, right? Like at least mention it. Will Starship enable Mars? Will it be the rocket that brings the first people to Mars? Like, what do you guys think? Like, Ryan, start.
I think at first, Starship will be the first. You'll land a Starship on Mars with people, but I think like later down the line, you'll do a thing where you build like kind of like The Martian. You build a vehicle in space that takes you to and from Mars, and you use a separate ascent descent vehicle to go to and from that vehicle, kind of thing. I think that's what it'll be in the long run. But I think Starship will be the first thing to land people on Mars in the long run, and places like Europa too. Let's keep going. But I think it'll enable Mars.
I was going for a cheap joke here and said like, why would you need a starship to go to Europa? You can just take a boat over the Atlantic.
But no.
There you go. Sawyer.
Stop
Sawyer's here.
Stop that.
Sorry.
Don't do that again.
I'm sorry. I will see myself out. Bye. No. Let's see here. Did we just see a drone, by the way, on the right side?
Did. Yep.
Drone. Yeah, the drone just went down on there's a car on the right, and I think the drone went there, right?
Yep.
So there we go. They are still checking out here. I mean, we don't want to forget here. We're still standing by for this thing to launch. As of now, the tank farm has shown some early signs of activity. We saw some minor activity on the methane side, but they have plenty of time here. Again, like they will get into countdown probably soonish. And also, I want to point out quickly the countdown in the top left. That's the net time of the beginning of the window. They have a 110-minute window, and they might adjust in that window. That's a very valid possibility with Starship.
Yeah, the tank farmer activity we're seeing now is pretty much probably just systems checking, doing some purging around the Pope vent. When it really starts getting going and the start of the tank farm spooling up is usually around 3 hours, so it's probably going to be around 4 a.m. or so is when we'll start seeing that kind of stuff spool up. But so we just got a little bit yet, but we're here talking, so
Absolutely. And I want to quickly thank some people here while we are talking here, because thanks to the support we have these cameras, and like that's always a quick saying, but it's absolutely true. Like, thanks to all of your support, we can do all of this and sit here for 8 hours and talk about what Starship enables. So there you go. Thanks to Brenny00 becoming a Capcom member, which gives you access to our membership Discord. Thank you so much. Hef Williams with a $100 tip for the cause.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Right. For the cause.
For the cause. And with a thumbs up, that's it. Thank you so much. We will make sure that we use it for the cause.
indeed.
Elmad here with a $90.99 super chat, saying, "Das new breakfast sandwich, peanut butter, jelly, bacon, yum." Am I getting a? I feel like I'm missing a reference here.
Nope, no, you're good.
Okay. Okay, I will just go over this. Okay, cool. Then we have the Concrete Vent, aka Grass Vent, with a $20 super chat saying, "Hi, Adrian. Hi, Grass Vent. Always there. Glad to have you here." And Byteford with a $100 super chat saying, "Who's the surprise guest coming tonight? Great to hear you again tonight. Jack." Well, sorry, I'm not Jack anymore. Actually, I've never been Jack. Jack is just not here anymore. But thank you, Byteford, for that very, very generous support. And stay tuned for the guests. Plural. Actually, it's guests, plural.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's stuff more to come here. So just a bit more. Let's see here. Where are we with questions? People asking, how do you become a space cowboy? I'm not sure if that's
how to
Go
become
ahead.
a space cowboy. Well, first thing you're going to need is a cowboy hard hat.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
What?
Dude, what are we talking about now?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What are we talking about? This is not even an obscure pop culture reference.
Yeah.
Ryan, clue him in, please.
Right, the one thing I'm coming to mind of is Tori Bruno and his cowboy hats.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's what you like. I always assume you reference like a series or something, or like a movie.
No,
and then I'm
no,
just
space
instantly out. Yep. EJ, there's a question here I want to throw to you, which is an interesting one. Why still venting?
What's that?
Why still venting?
Wait, right now?
Yeah, why is there venting right now, or why is there venting in general?
Well, we have we have cryogenic propellants here. They are boiling. I mean, the tank farm does its best to mitigate the boil off, but you're still gonna get some of it turning to gas. That's why you see a little vape pipe going on there in the bottom left. Here, we get it, Starship. All right, we get it. Okay.
You vape.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of boil off here. You could exchange the heat, but in order for these cryogenic propellants to stay as liquid, they have to be really, really cold. Yes, really, 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 really cold. That is an industry term. Really, really, really,
Yes.
really, really, really big man cold. So you're always going to get a little bit of boil off. So the vent's always going a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that ending there. I was like, yes. I was just, and
Yeah.
yes, it's actually a scientific term. How many reallys you put in there, that means how cold it is. It's a factor.
Yep.
Let's see here. Ryan, somebody is asking here. Ace is actually asking here. Do you know where the splashdown zone for this flight will be? What's the flight trajectory for this one?
Yeah, so the splashdown zone is going to be in the Indian Ocean. Now, it's going to depend on where exactly it splashes down, whether it's closer to like Madagascar or closer to Australia. If the in-space burn that they have planned for Raptor actually succeeds, then it'll most likely be closer to Madagascar. If for some reason that doesn't work, then it'll probably be closer in and around to Australia. So that's where our splashdown zone for this flight is. And it won't be like a soft in quotations, because they'll basically they're not going to do a flip and burn. They're just going to go wham into the ground, into the water at terminal velocity, to make sure that that vehicle gets destroyed, so they don't have to go out and sink it themselves.
There we go. Let's see here. Just a general question we get here a lot is, EJ, how long until we see this in a reusable configuration? Like, how many more flights until booster and ship here will maybe fly for the second, third time? We'll try to land a booster or catch a booster. Like, what's your expected timeline on that?
Well, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, kind
Thanks.
of not really. No. Okay. All right. Why don't I know? Well, okay. SpaceX is using what's called an iterative design for Starship. There's kind of generally two kinds of testing in the aerospace industry that you see here. You have all up testing, which is, I mean, the software people are going to cringe at this. Trust me. Just bear with me. No, don't leave. I got you. Right. I got you. Okay. So, generally what we've seen in the aerospace industry more is waterfall style testing. So you do an all up test. You test as much as you can on the ground, and then you put it all together and you fly it. That's what we saw with Artemis, with SLS, right? And SLS actually performed really good. I like that rocket. I know some people hate it. I like it. I think it's amazing. It's a really nice system. Yeah, really good. Needs a better upper stage, but really good. So you get that kind of waterfall testing. With SpaceX, you have iterative testing. So this version that we're going to see on IFT-3 is nowhere near that finalized design. So you really, SpaceX is a little more laissez-faire about, saying, all right, let's go, let's launch, and then let's see what happens. Now, here's the flip of this. So like when you're using waterfall testing, when you're doing something like SLS, you don't really want to learn something on the first mission. You don't want to learn something new. That should be like a final exam for school. You should pass everything. It should be a measure of your success there. Now, SpaceX, on the flip side of this, with their iterative testing, is more, mess with it and find out, for lack of a less appropriate word or phrase. So you're going to learn something every time you launch. Now, how does that have to do? What does that have to do with reusability? What are we talking about here? So, we're not near I don't think we're even near what SpaceX thinks what a fully reusable version of this is, but they're going to take iterative steps every time. So right now, getting up there, probably a good idea. You probably need to get that part figured out. The coming down part, is probably figure that part out too. The landing part, we've kind of seen. We know that works from SN15 and SN10 asterisks and SN8 asterisks. Like we saw that part figured out, like terminal descent, like final part of the descent and landing. But there's still some blanks, in what SpaceX hasn't really gone to iteratively test on from launch all the way to landing. Once we get all those steps kind of figured out, and I think SpaceX will rapidly approach that, But that's when we'll see reuse. Now, when does that happen? Once again, I don't know. Depends on how good this flight goes. Because once again, with SpaceX's agile, iterative design, you might learn something new. SpaceX, many times in the past, has gone down one path and like okay, we're gonna do this, and then they've completely changed course based off of what they found. Right? Like even Starship. Starship was supposed to originally, back in the BFR days, right? Big Falcon rocket, for Falcon. Big Falcon Duke Nukem. Anyway, they were going to... Big Falcon rocket.
Doom? What?
Yeah. I've got tanks of steel. All right. So they were going to go with carbon composite tank structure. And then they decided to, based off of what they saw there, they decided, no, we're going to do 300 series stainless. They completely switched the architectural design. So it really kind of depends. Now, once again, I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't have a crystal ball. That'd be kind of cool, though. But when do we think this is going to come in the future? I don't know. Armchair. I'm an armchair scientist. I just play KSP. I don't know. The end of the year. Maybe the end of the year if they get those 6 flights in that Elon wants. It really depends. It depends on how well it works with the iterative program.
Yeah, I think overall, so initially about the 6 flights, when they initially were like, oh, we want to fly 9 times this year, that was like, yeah, I'm not sure. Now that they're like 5 to 6, like that's suddenly way more believable. Way more believable. So that's suddenly a discussion where I'm like, oh yeah, I could see Starship fly 5 times this calendar year. Totally. 6, maybe optimistic, but yeah, I could see that. And that's kind of crazy if you think about that we are seeing here the biggest rocket of all time that might achieve around 10 flights in less than 2 years. I think that's a really impressive cadence. And I'm just looking forward to see this thing more fly. I mean, we are on the verge here of seeing it fly again, and I'm so ready for it. I'm so ready for it.
Yeah, dude, we all are. This is wild. It's just, I'm privileged. I honestly feel very privileged coming here and commentating with you guys. But just being along for this ride, like even not commentating, just as a fan of space, it's awesome to see. Like this is something I wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh, go see what Starship's up to today. This is great. Oh, that just best of the Saturn V, best of the shuttle, all rolled into one. It's fine. This is great. What are you doing?
Yes. Sometimes I even waked up by Starship because I sometimes have SBL open at night. Just it's like ambient noises. Sometimes helps going to sleep. And now imagine a D-press went at like 4 a.m. It's like you're awake. You're suddenly there. Filtered here with super chats of asking, do you think Starship will Starlink will ever be deployed around the moon or Mars?
Starlink?
So like a relay?
I mean, that's definitely going to be a problem to solve. Everybody talks about just going back and landing on the moon, but we saw from that Intuitive Machines mission, shout out to Intuitive Machines, you guys are the best. That was an awesome mission.
Yes.
That was fantastic. The dish, you guys are the best. We saw from Intuitive Machines that antennas play a big role here. A lot more underrated than we might think, If a spacecraft, it's always a trade-off with engineering. You want to make an antenna that can pivot and point in different directions. Well, that's extra mass. And when you're talking about sending something all the way to the surface of the moon, mass is a huge priority, especially so final mass here, your spacecraft, huge deal. So you might opt for a fixed antenna. And we saw in the case of Intuitive Machines, some handy work done by one of the radio antennas down in Australia to because the thing tipped over. We saw some radio trickery right there. I'll say like some magic coming there from those guys getting that signal and being able to lock in and download 350 megs of data. That's amazing. The antenna wasn't even pointed in the right direction. They bounced it off the surface of the moon. This is definitely something to consider. They're definitely going to need something like that in the future.
Yeah, I think having permanent relays is really, or like in general, having better deep space or in interplanetary communication is really one of the next bottlenecks we really have to solve as.
Absolutely.
Like, as space explorers, because it's an issue already with Mars, right? We know it's already a thing where they really have to manage their capabilities, and it's also an issue with all of the deep space assets that are constantly trying to communicate with the deep space network. It's really something where Starship can hopefully actually help out with, because launching giant relays into space would be a good idea at this point.
Agreed.
So yeah, speaking of good news here and potential, you might have noticed here that the launch site has started a bit of a clear up, which is amazing news, because we are getting closer and closer here, and SpaceX has started to remove more and more personnel from the pad. We just, I think, have one more car here that is just sitting there alone, and we have a few more cars at the roadblock, but they are getting there here, EJ. They're starting to remove the cars and clearing this area.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
I think all I really got is basically just some basic SpaceX security. I think one cop and the red team, final closeouts and stuff like that. I think that's all really they got left here.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
It feels crazy that we are already like Starship evenings are always like, oh, we are like still 12 hours away, and suddenly you blink and it's 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's launch coverage, man. That's how it goes.
You're suddenly almost through the countdown. You're like, oh my god, where did the time go? So always fun though, because if you're fun and you're faster, like experienced in time faster, that's always good. Sucker Floor with a 25 euro super chat with another suggestion for Starship, saying start building the biggest modular space station and start using it as a technical playground to test and perfect long-term solutions.
Agreed.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm up for a giant space station.
Yeah, like Earth space dock. Let's go. I don't know if we can make something that big yet, but I want it.
How about we take the original idea for the space transportation system with the space shuttle, and we just do that with Starship, and the ships just get bigger. We designed spaceships around a 9 meter core, and new space stations. We should do that. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm game.
Yep.
I'm absolutely. I'm on board. Sign off.
Bring back the dual keel space station. That was a good idea. I'll die on this hill.
Someone email or DM, like Kathy or Gwen, right? Let's do this.
It'll be fine. They'll
There's actually a paragraph on the SpaceX website where it says, "Please don't DM them ideas."
It's so good. Or like email them. It's like, I wonder why they say that now.
It's quite funny that they have that. I wanna show you another way to support our launch coverage here, because there's one other way where you get something amazing in return, which I think is the coolest way to support us, because you get something, and that's our, for example, patch, our flight patch 3 here. We have about 20% left of what we initially had. The patch is slowly but surely selling out. We still have a bit of Flight 1 and Flight 2 as well, so if you want to grab all 3, they're still all there. I think it's an amazing patch. Thanks again to Pauline for designing this. I love it. I have it here, and I honestly love this patch. So if you want to check that out, go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And again, it's a cool way to support us, because you get something. You don't just give us money, but you have something in return that you can put on your backpack, for example. I have my patch on my backpack. I like having my NSF backpack where I have every patch on now. So
they give you a backpack? They didn't give me a backpack.
No, it's actually a normal backpack, and I'm rebranding it to an NSF backpack with patches.
Okay.
I'm making my own. No, there's no official NSF backpack yet.
Because Adrian, I showed you once. I have SG1 patches, so I need to find like a jacket that I can put like the NSF patches and like the SG1 patch on like the shoulder and what. You get a jacket to do that on.
That's true.
So cool.
SG1 had cool costumes. We could probably do a whole show just talking about Stargate.
Oh yeah, olive drab.
We could probably do a series, like just watch one episode a week and just talk about it. I need to rewatch Stargate now. It's overdue.
Yep.
Certainly overdue. So let's see here. Let's get some bit more question in here. there's question here, EJ, about what actually makes up a launch window. Like why are launch windows existing, and why are they, for example, different on different days?
This is a can of worms, man. This is a can of worms.
Deep rabbit hole.
Okay, all right, we're going. Buckle up, we're going in.
Mm-hmm.
Put the gas masks on. We're about to cook. Let's go. All right, so the launch window is determined by wherever the spacecraft's going. Now, this test, Starship with IFT, it's a well, I would say about as close to a full suborbital, like a full orbital test as you can get without going full orbit, right? So, with this test, there's really no particular constraint other than the weather. The weather, the winds have to be good. Now, supposedly it might be a little windy tomorrow, but we will, look up at the meteorological overlords and hopefully we get some favorable conditions here. Weather does play a big role, but the biggest thing here is, well, where are you going? So let's take the ISS, for instance. We watched Crew 8 launch the other day. It was fantastic. It was a great mission. Now, when that Dragon launches out of the Cape, you're flying on a flight azimuth, I don't know, about 45 degrees, because the ISS is in a 51.6 degree inclined orbit. Now, if that was another language, here, I'll explain. If you look at a picture Earth in your mind and picture the equator. The equator's in the center, right? The ISS's orbit is tilted 51.6 degrees relative to the equator. Now, it's orbiting around in that tilted orbit, and Earth is spinning underneath it. Now, in order to get to the ISS, you have to kind of launch where the ISS is. You have to launch when the ISS orbital path crosses your launch site. So 45 degree flight azimuth, give or take. So you're launching northeast out of the Cape, heading up the eastern seaboard to kind of launch into that tilted orbit. It's called orbital inclination. It's one of the 6 variables of that define an orbit in orbital mechanics, if you're wondering. If you weren't, don't worry about it. It's tilted. The orbital plane, the ISS's orbital plane doesn't cross Florida all the time. So you have these weird launch windows, and if we remember Crew 8, it kind of launched in the middle of the night. Well, that's because that's when it crossed the path. Now that could constrain a launch condition, right? Like that and the weather on top of that. But it really, at the end of the day, depends on where you're going. So for instance, let's say, you went past the Florida, the Earth kept spinning, and your launch site went like 400 nautical miles past, the ISS's, orbital plane, and then you tried to launch. Well, now you're trying to match the orbital inclination, even if you launched in the exact same direction, even if you put yourself into the exact same orbit. Another aspect of orbital mechanics, another variable for an orbit, is called the longitude of ascending node. It's basically what longitude on the globe where the Earth passes over where the spacecraft passes over the Earth's equator. Even if you launched, an hour later into the exact same orbit, your orbit would be rotated, right? You'd have a different longitude of ascending node. Differential longitudes of ascending node means your orbital paths would cross at some point, but you'd be going 17,500 miles an hour in one direction, and the ISS would be going 17,500 miles an hour in another direction. And, well, long story short, trying to take a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn in space when you're going 17,500 miles an hour, 28,000 kilometers an hour for the metric folks, that's a little bit difficult. It's a little difficult to turn when you're in orbit. You could make the left at Albuquerque, but you'd need a lot of fuel to do it. So a launch condition can get constrained by orbital inclination. Where's your destination? Where are you going? It really depends on the destination.
Hey,
I love this.
All you need is some
Told you.
impulse engines and some dampeners, and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then all you need is just to glide into an orbit and come out of an orbit and go all around space as you please with inertial dampeners and impulse engines. Yeah.
Wait a minute, chat. That was the short answer. I didn't even define the other 4 aspects of orbital properties. That was the short answer. Don't do me like that.
I have a question for you both that now just popped into my head because now I thought about it. Does it bother you in like now that so we know orbital dynamics roughly, right? Like we understand roughly how this works. Does it bother you in science fiction series when it's totally disregarded?
Yes.
Like, because it bothers it never bothered me before, but since I know orbital mechanics, it annoys me so much.
I will say this, and I know EJ is going to agree with me because based off of earlier, one of the worst culprits for me, because I love Star Trek so much, was Star Trek Into Darkness, when the Enterprise loses power in orbit around the moon and falls back to Earth. I left the movie theater. I walked straight out.
Wait,
Like,
what? What happened?
in Star Trek Into Darkness, the second Kelvin timeline movie, the Enterprise is in a fight near the moon. It loses all power and it falls down to Earth through the atmosphere in a straight line. Falls down to Earth.
I mean, it's possible to do that. It depends on what's called ejection angle out of a celestial body's gravitational influence. If you have the correct ejection angle, yeah, you could fall straight back down. I mean, it's possible. Unlikely, because of gravitational perturbations, Lagrangian points, solar perturbations, you're not going to fall ever in like a completely straight line. Long story short, everything with gravity up there is pulling you in one direction or another. But I mean, it's possible. But that type of trajectory you'd really need to dial it in. It wouldn't just happen out of the blue, Ryan, right?
Yeah, no, and it happens just out of the blue because the Enterprise is supposedly in a stable orbit around the moon, and then it just loses power, and then it just falls to Earth.
There we go. I love this. I could listen to you both just going mad. I wish we just had like a science fiction show on the channel. Like we could just talk, and I could talk about the 2 shows I have watched. Like that's
I mean,
it's amazing.
We could talk about Stargate all day, every day. I love that show so much.
You know what I want to talk about now?
What?
The membership program of NASA spaceflight.
Nice segue.
Right, starting, of course, before our pet rats, that's the entry perk where you get already your name and chat. We have Red Team where you already get some behind-the-scenes content. Capcom gives you access to Discord. And then we have, of course, our both highest tiers, which are Launch Director and Flight Engineer, which gets you all the perks that the others previous tiers get, and also gets your name at the end of NSF Live and other shows, which are, like always a special appreciation. You get the 4K multi-view, which we have for Patrat and above live right now, by the way. This is actually a thing that is live right now. And you also get exclusive photos, sometimes behind the scenes. Sometimes we show a bit of behind the scenes content where we can and show you maybe like a setup. And of course our amazing Discord. I love our Discord because there's so much discussion happening there. We have a gaming channel, we have a sports channel, we have a lot of rocket channels. It's an amazing place. So check out the NSF membership program. A great way to support us, and also a great way to get even more involved with the community. But of course, if you're just here watching and asking questions in chat, that's already like that's all we need. We love you all, and we are just glad we can share the excitement of this launch with you all, because we are super excited for this. EJ, are you what's the next 5 hours for you?
If I'm not talking about the stuff that I just talked about, I'd probably be thinking it. Yeah, not gonna lie. Also, the membership, you get free parking.
Free parking.
Your own locker, your custom towels in the towel room, and complimentary tea time. Oh wait, no, this isn't a country club. Hey. Hi.
I was gonna say at the NSF office, because we all know where that is, right?
Yeah.
That's like it's a sentient thing that doesn't exist. It's like you get free parking in this spherical, in this etherical space.
Yep.
In this sub-dimension, yes. I love the idea. Free parking where can you free park where park doesn't exist? Getting philosophical here.
Yes. How can our eyes be real if our eyes aren't real?
I never heard that one.
What? What? No, dude. Oh, jeez. Okay.
What?
Well, this is weird.
What?
Well, this is weird.
Why?
We've
Okay.
had a lot of weird interactions with Adrian, haven't we, EJ? It's just kind of like
Yeah,
it's.
it's
I mean,
very
it's just,
strange.
at least Adrian knows what Stargate is, you know, at least. So we can give him that. But Star Trek, I don't know if I can forgive you, Adrian. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, it's a Jaden Smith tweet. Okay, I just googled.
Okay. You just typed that in. Nice. All right.
My Google search is basically pop culture references I googled up. It's
So it's all good.
that's all I do. Still one car here, right next to the subcoolers and vaporizers and a giant orbital tank farm. It's that guy needs to leave. It's hard to break them. Like, he cannot watch the launch there.
I think
Honestly.
there's some people
I would.
standing around near the guard shack there.
You wouldn't, EJ.
I would, but don't ever do that. That would be. I'm strange. I don't know if you guys could tell. Like, don't do that. Don't.
Yeah, don't.
Not smart.
Do not violate any closure zones for rockets. It's actually a very
Yeah.
default reasons for closure zones.
They'll get
around
mad
rocket.
at you.
Yeah, they will scrub the launch. That's also bad. You're like a range violation, as they call you then.
Mhm.
Let me also thank Leon21CS here becoming a flight engineer, and D Mars gifting 50 Red Team memberships.
My guy.
That's a lot of memberships. Thank you so much, D Mars. I really, we all appreciate that. So I hope everybody that got that said thank you, because that's what we do. Let's see here. Let's get some more questions in, because we of course want to ask some more questions. Again, remember, if you have any more questions, tag at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and then we are getting the questions in this handy tool here, where we can just quickly throw them at you. Because not everybody is like this multitasking Twitch streamer that just grabs them out of the air.
What? I don't do that. I do. Sorry.
You do. I'm not calling it out. I actually admire it.
Oh, all right. Sweet.
So let's see here. Anything that catches your attention here, guys?
Well, the
Oh.
chopsticks might be coming down soon.
How do you know?
Looks like the stabilizers have come out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's this glorious shot, right? When they are open, like, that makes it more real.
Mechazilla, his arms wide.
I got that one.
Yeah,
That's a good one, EJ. That's
All right.
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good one. I think they're opening. Is it just me?
Let's
Entry when the starship fell.
Huh?
Yeah.
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
We're not
I feel
talking
like
about
at this point you're doing it intentional.
No. It makes sense, and it was in chat. Back me up. Back me up, please.
It makes sense. It does. I love it. I love the references. I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So they are definitely opening.
Yes. Okay.
You can see them moving.
Slowly.
Yeah, very slowly. Are they too
always go-
slow?
No. Well, they go slow when they're this close to a vehicle. And then once they're like away from the vehicle, then they really start going again.
So you don't think we will see crazy chopsticks that go super fast from A to B? Just catch a rocket midair?
Here's the thing, Adrian. We haven't seen the smaller chopsticks in action yet, and they could have upgraded them. Because I mean, upgrading these could be a little bit of a pain with everything, and they would be out of commission for a little while. But like, we haven't seen the new ones at 39A in operation, and we're gonna see a new set at Boca at some point in the next, like, probably 2 years. But you know, Still, I'm kind of curious how fast those are going to be, or if they're going to be, or they may not squeak, or have or sing. I should say is the better way to say it.
I think they need some oil. Like they always. Okay, I'm not an expert on mechanical stuff. Like, but it doesn't sound good to me sometimes when they are making these squeaky sounds at night. When they, I'm not sure if that's bad. EJ, is that bad?
Are we talking about? Are we talking about when the chopsticks are opening and closing, or are we talking about when the carriage goes up and down on Mechazilla?
No, even if they just have the cable sometimes, like sometimes the cable kind of hit against each other at night, or like in general when it's windy, and you hear this constant noise of them hitting each other.
So in
I don't think it's a big deal.
if I remember correctly, the cables the cables do have a like self lubricating thing at the top of the tower, if memory serves. And then the one thing they do need to do is the bearing skates that they have on the carriage. They need to grease those. I as an aircraft mechanic here, I suggest BMS 3-33. It's what I use. It's the same stuff used in landing gears, basically for aircraft. I think.
And we're talking what kind of grease is that? Like lithium grease or?
Yeah, kind of
Nice.
like a little bit. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's pretty. It's good. It's pretty like fireproof stuff too. So.
Yeah, we want that. That would be useful.
Yeah.
Apparently, in about 5 hours, we need something fireproof because a certain Elon Musk, I'm not sure if you heard about that guy, confirmed that a Starship launch attempt is in about 5 hours from now. So that means apparently this countdown in the top left there is on track with what with what the expectations at SpaceX here, which would mean they're targeting roughly the opening of the window. Of course, he said roughly 5 hours, or like he said, about 5 hours, I think. So it's apparently going. Like so far, it's going good. We of course have still this iffiness with the weather. It's still this situation of especially wind shear and cloud cover might be an issue today. But of course, as SpaceX gets closer, that's when they really get a better picture about this, and can fully understand if they are go for today. So yeah, let's quickly dive into like an overall overview. If you have joined us recently, I just want to give you a quick overview of what's happening here. We are watching Starship Flight 3. Getting ready. Starship is getting ready to be fueled. Fueling has not begun yet. We see the orbital tank farm there already venting. Fueling will not start for a few more hours, but we will see the tank farm spooling up probably very soon. And there's another car coming from the beach right now as they are getting ready here to evacuate the whole area and making sure this whole evacuation zone is enforced to make sure public health and safety is in place. And once that is happening, they will spool up the orbital tank farm, tank this vehicle, and then it will make itself on the way, hopefully, to the Indian Ocean. We'll see.
Outside,
Yeah.
send it.
EJ, will it go through re-entry?
Yeah. I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, I think it'll do it, but the SpaceX fanboy in me says, "Oh yeah, she's going. Oh, she's going. She's gonna belly flop."
Speaking of going, do you see that?
I do. I do see that.
That's the cars leaving.
Autobots, roll out.
They all go.
Are we getting a pad clear situation here?
We might be getting a pad clear.
That's a pretty good sign. Everybody, I like that sign. So there's another security cars. There's always, I feel like there's always cars just hidden somewhere. Try to count them, but they're just hidden somewhere behind. But I feel like that might be the last car here leaving the pad. So I'm not sure if we can do a bit of a sweep here and make sure if it's really true. But I feel confident that we are approaching a situation where we can say that SpaceX has cleared the pad for the third flight of Starship.
Let's go.
Which is, I like the sentence. I like to say the sentence.
Yep.
So let's see how they progress. So far, everything good, and of course, we'll have to. There's still some stuff they have to like they have to perform here with the wet dress rehearsal and everything. Wet dress rehearsal with the tanking and everything. I mean, technically, it's a wet dress rehearsal, just with an ignition at the end.
Hmm. So, what we got? So if we got pad clear here, then we're looking at what? It's about 2:10 in the morning, and this is if they're targeting right at 7 o'clock, based off of their timeline and everything. We should see tank farm spool up in less than 2 hours, which pretty quick. And then, I mean, one of the cool things about this too is it'll lead into some other fun stuff. Is they can tank this thing a lot faster now. So they like prop load's gonna be at like, I think it was like 6:07 will be prop load if they're targeting right at 7 o'clock. So, it's pretty quick. Not that far
Yep.
away, Adrian.
They tank about 10 Falcon 9s in a matter of the duration they need to tank one Falcon 9s or like fuel up.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's an incredible amount of fluid transfer.
50 minutes.
50 minutes for 5,000 tons.
Wow.
That's just insane. How do they do this?
That flow rate is comparable to some rocket engines. Okay, like really, really, really small rocket engines, but that's a comparable flow rate, and it's a lot more than a smaller rocket engine. That is a lot of propellant, a lot of commodities being moved very quickly.
Absolutely. It's honestly like when you think about it, it's crazy how much they could speed it up. I already thought during Flight 1 and 2 they're doing this pretty quickly for the fact that this is and I want to point this out again, biggest rocket of all time. And then they're now doing it faster.
So would you call this rocket a Broat? B-R-O-A-T, the biggest rocket of all time? It's the Broat.
Yeah. I think a Broat. I mean, that's just bread in German.
Oh, cool. Say it with basically me, chat. Broat.
Broat. It's Brot, actually, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good too.
Pronounce it. Learning some German today, everybody.
Ah, jawohl.
So we have now seen, I think, cars moving behind the normal roadblock, which you can see there. It's the blue and red blinking thing. That's the normal roadblock. They kind of make it obvious where they are. And I believe the production site also looks relatively empty, so doesn't look like it's super active. There, that's the roadblock there.
Those are some lights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certainly lights.
That one pixel next to the other pixel.
Yeah, they were like red and blue was there.
Yeah.
I saw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So certainly some lights. We can say that. Let's see here. What do we have? Your take on the Kairos explosion. I mean, that was quickly get like quick impression. That was wow. That
did not go well. I don't know if you guys could tell. It didn't go well because of the way that it was.
Yeah, but the fact that it didn't reach like 200 meters, that's a clear tell for rockets. Didn't go well.
We've had an anomaly. We need to secure the area.
The most iconic we have had an anomaly has to be the Delta II launch.
That
has to be. Yeah, it's just and then you see the. How do you explain that, like, to your insurance? Like, all of a sudden your car got roasted by a rocket?
Yeah, that guy had some hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene land on his truck. Whoops! It was on fire. There was no truck left. That was back in the day when they put the blockhouse, like, I don't know, 200 meters from the launch site. So when it decided to rock int, it yeah.
Did you just rock int?
Yeah, that's a word, right?
I like
Sure.
that. I will
We'll go
steal
with
that. So we talked about the timeline a bit, but we have actually a handy video for you for the timeline from Road Closed, which we would love to show you. So I think this is a good moment to throw that to that video and show you what's the timeline there.
The timeline of events ahead of a Starship launch begins several hours prior to liftoff with the closure of Highway 4 by Cameron County Police in coordination with SpaceX security. At the same time, Boca Chica Beach is also closed for public protection ahead of the launch. During this time, Starbase, Boca Chica Village, and essentially every location within the blast danger area is evacuated. This includes not just residents, but also non-essential SpaceX employees living and working within the area. Highway 4 will also be closed off at 3 different locations. The furthest away from the launch site is called the Soft Closure Point, and it's located several miles up the highway near Brownsville. From this point, only residents and SpaceX personnel are allowed down this road, and everyone else will be turned away. Another roadblock is set up right outside of the blast danger area on the intersection between Highway 4 and Richardson Avenue. This location is the hard roadblock point for launch, and only essential SpaceX personnel and law enforcement are allowed through it. Closer to the launch site, another roadblock is set up in the early hours of the road closure window to control access to the launch site. This roadblock, located past the intersection between Lyndon B. Johnson Boulevard and Highway 4, is the usual roadblock that's set up for static fires and other smaller scale tests at the launch site. As launch time approaches, this roadblock will be vacated as it won't be needed anymore, and law enforcement can move up to the safer roadblock location at Richardson. During this time, SpaceX teams will complete closeout work at the pad, performing final checks on the hardware and systems ahead of full clearance of the launch site area. At some point, the chopstick arms will open up and reveal the fully stacked rocket ahead of the propellant load sequence. For this to happen, though, the ground tank farm will have to spool up. The tank farm systems will begin chill down and will see the now famous Pope stack vent become active. The liquid oxygen and liquid methane subcoolers will also start to fill with liquid nitrogen ahead of their use during propellant load operations. We'll see lots of venting from the new liquid oxygen subcooler vents, so expect a huge cloud of gaseous nitrogen hanging over the ground in the area of the launch site. This is expected and was seen on previous tests, so don't worry and enjoy the show. This tank farm conditioning and chill down process can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and during this time, we may see other events, such as venting from the booster's chines. These vents are related to the load of carbon dioxide on 2 tanks located on the tower-facing chines of the vehicle. This carbon dioxide will be used during flight as a fire suppression system on the engine section of the booster. After those 2 to 4 hours, there will be another conditioning and chill down process, but this time it'll be of the propellant lines that go to the launch mount and launch tower. This will be evidenced by the OLM and tower vents, which will be very visible during this time. The OLM vent will start weak at first and will progressively become more active as propellant load approaches. This final state is what we call the waterfall mode. As for the tower vent, it'll appear and disappear twice before the propellant load starts, but for that, all systems and hardware need to be ready to go.
We're back, and we have the combination. Adrian, are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
For what?
Well, didn't you listen to Alicia in the video?
The combination?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
But isn't the combination 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I don't know, but that's crazy. I got the same combination on my luggage.
I know. What movie is that from? For once you
There we
didn't
go.
get me.
We got him.
Yes! Yes! We're making progress, chat. We're making progress.
Look at these spotlights.
Oh man.
They're making a light show out of here. The question is, are they just testing for celebration, or are they just starting the hype show here?
I mean, if they're starting the hype show, I mean, if I don't have long to do it, right? Like, I would assume.
I remember them having like really cool like shapes and everything the last time, and this is just like now it's 2 flying bolts.
Dude, I feel like there's going to be an announcer voice coming on here that's like, Thursday, one night only, the IFT-3 launch, coming at you. Like, that seems appropriate here, is it not?
Absolutely. I feel like
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
I feel like we're in the build up here, and I can also confirm, by the way, that the beach is now closed according to a text from Cameron County.
All
In
right.
case you wondered. I love how these texts are always coming in after they already moved the roadblock. Like, why I'm like beach closed. I'm like, cool. But yeah, the sheriffs are still at the soft roadblock, or like I shouldn't say soft roadblock, the village checkpoint. And they will probably stay there for a bit. Usually they leave during like once they really get close to propellant loading, when it's time to get a bit more distance to the stack, because as we pointed out earlier, there's about 5,000 tons of propellant in there. So
That's a lot of tons.
yeah, so you don't want to stand next to that technically.
I mean, I'd be cool standing next to it as long as it's not moving around. That's the dangerous part. Yet, standing next to a fully tanked rocket, not too bad. NASA's been doing that for a long time. Standing next to an unfueled rocket, not a big deal. It's that whole in-between thing. That's the dangerous part.
Yeah, it's basically, and also, of course, the ignition part.
I wouldn't want to stand next to it during that part either. Just putting that out there.
So there are several factors that would actually be very bad for your body.
Yep. The ignition part. This would not be good for you.
Sound part.
I can take it.
I can take it.
I love the confidence. That's all I say about it. Like, just like getting this car.
You can't. Sorry.
I don't know. Maybe give me a Mjolnir suit from Halo.
Mark 5 or 4?
Mark 6. Like Halo 3. Halo 2 and 3. I like those a little bit better. That's just me. Yeah.
ODST is where it's at.
Yeah, ODSTs are amazing too, but not like Halo 4 Mark 6. No, please no. I don't like that one.
Good man.
Yeah.
Ryan, I knew I liked you.
I want to quickly read something out here because we just got a store message saying working on Starship and have you stream on it at SpaceX. Thanks, NSF.
Yo,
I'm like,
what's going on? Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, everybody.
Yeah, good luck.
Like, that's really cool, and I hope you enjoy our coverage of your work, right?
That's awesome.
We're just watching here, so I hope you really enjoy the show here. And again, good luck with the flight in 4 hours 36 minutes.
Austin, you got this, buddy. Trust me, you got this. You guys got this one in the bag. Let's send it.
Would that be Austin Bernard?
I'm not sure.
No? Okay. I don't know. Either way, good luck.
And let's see here. I'm really starting to stare. Like, there's part of me. I'm a tank watcher at heart, so I'm always when there's no person no longer at heart close here, I'm always staring now at these sub coolers and everything. I wanna now see things get frosty. I'm that kind of person.
Gotta stare at that Pope vent, because as soon as it like just starts, like you'll see a little bit start on that Pope vent, and then once that little bit starts, then it's like basically at that point, it's like 2.5 hours to prop load after that. That's kind of what it is. I think it was the math I did during that wet dress rehearsal, somewhere around there. Yeah.
There's a question here, EJ, which I will directly direct to you, is why is this half state more dangerous, or the tanking state more dangerous?
Nice. I thought you'd never. So, okay, when you're moving propellants around, especially cryogenic propellants, the rocket goes through a lot of transients here. So, okay, that's nerd speak. All right, bring it down, reel it in a little bit. So, think about it. Propellants are super freaking cold, right? They're super cold. If you flow them through a metal pipe, the metal's going to contract. That's why, if you guys notice, any of the commodity plumbing infrastructure that's around always has flex joints on it. Those pipes are designed to expand and contract. We're talking 200, more than 200 C temperature delta here. between like ambient temperature outside and the temperature of these propellants. And not only that, SpaceX is flowing enough propellants into that Starship to, like, if we could like have our propellants in a proverbial like Olympic swimming pool, you would be able to see the propellants go down. Like you'd see the thing draining like a bathtub, and Olympic swimming pools are not small. That's the flow rate we're talking here. So when you have all these propellants, which are just also explosive if they, somehow find a way to combine, that SN4, that wasn't cool. That's what happens, right?
Whoops.
Now you're flowing them into a rocket, and you're changing the structure of the vehicle. It's getting colder. It's pressurizing, right? Well, it's already kind of pressurized. There's tank ullage, et cetera, et cetera. It gets a little more complicated than that, but you're changing a bunch of things. You're changing a bunch of variables all at once, really, really fast. Fueling is a really complicated thing, and we get spoiled from Falcon 9. They can just out of the blue, 35 minutes, boom, tanked, right? That's impressive. That is an impressive thing to do, even for Falcon 9, which has, I think, 1 million pounds of, commodities on it, which is, Starship is, like, I don't even know, a number of folds greater than that, but you're changing all these things at the same time. Another example, right, would be like SLS. If we, when NASA did, launched the Artemis 1 mission, when they started the fueling process, they were in a slow fill process just to make sure, everything is at the right temperature. It's like chill down on an engine when the rocket's firing. And then they went into high flow. They did have some problems with the hydrogen here and there. Hydrogen is really, really, really difficult to move around. Any change in temperature, even 1 or 2 Kelvin in either direction, you get gas. It's not going to solidify. Let's be real. You're just going to get hydrogen gas. It's only going to go in one direction, right? So now you get gases inside of your pipes. You don't want that. So not only do you have to, control the temperature, you're changing a lot of physical properties on the vehicle, you have to watch out for geysering. You have to watch out for not having pneumatic pressure build up inside of these liquid transfer pipes. That's why they go to slow fill, into fast fill. SpaceX does the same thing. That's why whenever we, go to see anything that has to do with the OLM, the tank farm, when they're moving propellants around, you'll see the Pope vents turn on, because, well, that's what it's doing. It's getting rid of it. It's scavenging all the gas out of that system. Now, SpaceX has a methane recondenser on the structure, if I'm remembering correctly. It has been a while.
Correct.
But
Yeah,
correct.
They do. Yeah. Okay. Cool. They do scavenge it. So, but they, part of the recondenser is having to introduce this gaseous methane that from the pneumatic, the gases that are in the pipe during boil off, right? They have to scavenge that, and they have to exchange the heat, turn it back into liquid, and put it back in the prop farm. So, long story short, you're changing a bunch of things on the rocket all at once. And then, one last thing, like with SLS wouldn't be able to fly like with the tanks half full. The reason why is because the booster, the core stage, wouldn't be at the right temperature, and the rocket would not structurally work like they planned. Believe it or not, filling the whole thing up with hydrogen and oxygen actually makes the core stage kind of tense up, and it actually brings all the struts, the SRB attachment points, into alignment on SLS. It's really cool. Sorry, it's kind of going a mile a minute. It is kind of late, guys. So if my explanations are not as contiguous as they usually are, but yeah, you're changing a lot of things really, really fast.
Yep, and change can equal, not always has to equal, but can equal danger.
Yeah.
In a rocket.
Stuff can blow up.
Yes. Which again comes down to the fact that's why there's a restriction. That's, for example, also like safety is really an important topic if you launch this amount of propellant and this amount of rocket. It really makes sense to really make sure that you're safe in that regard, and it's absolutely reasonable, for example, that the FAA takes, for example, time to make sure everything is sound. There's a reason why this thing has a flight termination system, which needs to work. So these are not to go deep in that rabbit hole, but an FTS should work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want it to not work. Let me put it like that.
Would be bad. Let me get some more support here with Noah with a Storm message saying, been following since 2019. Why do you guys think they changed the flight path for IFT-3? Ryan, why did they change the flight path for IFT-3?
So like before, the initial flight path was to land just north of Hawaii. Um, Now the reason why they're doing it in the Indian Ocean is because if they tried to do an in-space burn while trying to go to Hawaii, there's a chance that if for some reason it took them longer to shut down the engine, or I mean, there could be other factors. They may land on somewhere in Indonesia, where the Solomon Islands that are all the islands that are there in the Pacific. It's a lot less cluttered in terms of islands in where they're going to land around the Indian Ocean, so it's a little bit safer overall, and that's kind of why they're doing it that way. It's safety overall
I mean,
for everybody involved.
Ryan, to build off of what you were saying, keep in mind, guys, even a quote on I'm gonna say quote unquote suborbital trajectory here that's gonna come down in the Indian Ocean. That's like 99% of the way to orbit. It's good enough. It's good enough of an analog. We're talking maybe 3 to 4 second difference in burn time on Starship. It's not much. I would say for all intents and purposes, this is about as close as you can get to a full orbit without actually going to orbit. And here comes the shuttle reference, something similar to the external tank with the shuttle. The external tank
Bingo.
on the space shuttle made it 99.5% of the way there, repeating, of course. All right, it's going in. Oh my gosh, you just launched. Anyway, so it's close enough. And, as Ryan said, it's, coming down in the Indian Ocean, there's not a lot of things there but ocean. And if you were going to fly over, the Philippines, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, there's a lot of people there. And not only that, there's a huge, really, really busy shipping lane in the South China Sea. It's probably a little bit safer to do it this way.
Yep. That's thanks for that answer. I really love that. Witolo with a $5 super chat here. Thank you so much. Brittany with a store message. Thank you guys. Jack, I've been on Discord for a while but never tagged you. Can I get a late approval? I'm not sure if Jack's still in chat, but I know he gives sometimes late approvals to ping him in Discord. Beans becoming a Capcom member. Make sure to join the Discord. Chandler with a store message. Been watching since Starhopper. Love the work you guys do. And with that message attached is another Flight 3 patch. I hope you all enjoy these. And we have Leon21CS again with the $50 super chat saying, been watching since Starhopper. A lot of people watching since Starhopper. Love what you guys do. Will be sneaking the stream at work this morning. Go
Nice.
Starship.
My guy. That's what I like to hear, man.
There you go.
I remember when I was still working in my old office job. I always that was back when I was watching NSF just as like a viewer. I had I had a meeting while I think SN11 actually it was flew, and I had like a screen turned to me and I looked very serious on that screen, so they thought I had some charts on that, but it was just an NSF streaming SN11. And let's be real, it was SN11, so I didn't miss much, but yeah.
Dude, I'm not. I got a story, dude, about skipping out work for a rocket launch. It's a little bit old. I might date myself here, but cast your mind back 10 years ago to the EFT-1, Experimental Flight Test 1, Delta IV Heavy with the Orion test article on it that launched in the morning. I was doing inventory at a department store, and you might be able to guess which one by what I'm about to say, but the department store had, a surround sound experience in it with a really big television. I may or may not have just kind of stopped what I was doing and went and tested the surround sound system to verify that it was working. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I love your attention to quality control. Really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very
Totally.
Yeah, no, it was
important.
working.
very nice of you.
It was working. Yeah, I had to make sure.
Yeah, you gotta make sure.
Mark Lamb with a $20 super chat here saying, Starship, its ambitions great. Absolutely, I love the ambitions of Starship, and we hope they come to reality. That would be really, really cool. So that's what we are watching here. We are watching potentially history become true. Is that a saying? That's a weird saying. Let's see here. I'm throwing in one more question here. So there's a question here. What are the general thoughts on the milestone Starship is meant to demonstrate? Success or failure? Ryan, would you so far call the program a success or like failure? What's your overall view on the program so far?
I mean, I would label it as a success for now. I mean, I know a lot of people have thought, I know a lot of people have thought like, they should be farther along than they are right now. But it's kind of one of those things where a system like this takes time to flesh out. It takes time to figure out the ground systems. It takes time to figure out the vehicles. This is very, very much a developmental program. I would call it a success. It's hard to call. I don't know when you would call Starship a failure, because even if, say, down the line, um, Starship doesn't deliver as much to orbit or isn't as easily reusable as they thought it would be, I'd still consider that a success, because they're still doing what it's supposed to do. It just may not be as good as before. So I don't think I'd ever call it a failure unless for some reason Starship just straight up didn't follow through on any of its promises.
There we go. And with that, we reached at the point where they apparently are kicking us out here. So I want to thank EJ first. Thank you so much, EJ, for being with us here. And I think you're back later.
Yeah, might stop by, coming back in here, see the sights. Thank you for having me. And chat, thank you. Both Twitch and YouTube chats. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's a privilege, and I always try to have fun in here. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
I think, Ryan, you're staying on, so I will not say goodbye, but I will say goodbye. And I want to quickly mention we are doing a bit of a tech swap here. So there might be a small brief hiccup here in the stream, but stay with us here, and it will go over fast. So let's throw it over to the next commentators. See you later.
All right, guys. Are we back? Should be just me now. What'd you think? That segment was pretty good, right? How you read me? How copy? 5x5, 6x6, 20x30, 4x4, animal style, double, animal style with a Neapolitan shake. Who are you? Nobody. I do have the combination, and I got to do a Spaceballs reference on the NSF stream with a ton of people watching. Oh, boy, those guys must think I'm tapped. Just you and the three-headed monkey behind me? Wait, what? All right. Oh, boy. I had a lot of talking. They were probably like, dude, get this guy to shut up. You know? Oh, man. All right. Hanging in there? Yeah, I'm okay, dude. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I logged off the stream and went right back to, like, I went right into the, like, Brimo and I were hanging. We ate dinner, and, like, NSF was having some technical difficulties, so I went in there and helped where I could, like, do audio checks for people and stuff. So I shut the stream off, went inside, ate dinner, hung around with Brimo for a second because she's not feeling well and wanted to make sure she's okay, and she wanted to make sure I'm okay too. We're good. Happy to report that we're good. And yeah, then just came right back out here. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, let's see. Let's check to see. How are you in 5 hours, though? Jack, I'm fine. Red Bull? Nah. Hydrazine. I guess my time zone is the best here. Shinar, it's 3:50 in the freaking morning. I've been awake since yesterday. I already did an 11-hour stream. And then there's this on top of that. But I'm good. I'll be fine. Just need another cup of coffee in a second. Yeah. So, to recap, I woke up at 11 a.m. my time, purposely screwing up my sleep schedule. Got in, went right into streaming. We played Workers. I failed. The Nyakigrad Republic failed pretty bad, actually. Turns out that people don't like it when their heaters don't work in the middle of winter. Weird, right? Fucking weird, dude. Toothpicks? Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. And then, what happened after that? I started a new one called Chernobyl. Shinar, do you think that's a good name? I started a new Republic in Workers and Resources, and I called it Chernobyl. Chernobyl. It's a great name. Is it lunchtime already? We are sitting at T-minus 4 hours, 9 minutes on the dot until the launch window opens. So, we got a little bit of time. Sounds good. Ish. Это our show. Good name. It's currently a blizzard in Denver, dropping 12 to 18 inches of snow, and I have my window open. Dude, I like to sleep in a freezer, Katra, or else I sweat all over the place. Oh, it got buried again? Yeah. Anyway, so I did an 11-hour stream, took an hour break, jumped right back out here, did NASA spaceflight. Now we're here. I'm not scheduled to go back on to NSF for a little while. Yeah. Not scheduled to go back there for a little bit. So, we're just chilling. What did you ask someone? I think it got lost in the messages, but regarding ullage, do they have specific spots on the tap-offs, or are they literally just doing high-pressure engine chill? Okay. So someone refresh my memory. What was your original question? Because I said autogenous pressurization. What was your original question? Just clue me in, dog. Scotland forever. They may kick our ass, but they'll never kick our freedom. Wait. Yeah, whatever. Hey, Mohawk. Also, when Ryan said they're just slamming it into the water, any reason you could not do a normal landing in the water, then FDS it to sink? You don't want to run the risk of the flight termination system getting damaged on impact, Katra, and then not being able to do that. So having it litho break against the water is a good way to just make sure that that's all kill. I should probably sleep, but I'm too wired. Yeah. I wasn't sure how they were doing ullage on Starship, and they're said using an engine tap-off. Yeah, okay. So an engine tap-off isn't exactly the whole story. They're using something called autogenous pressurization or autogenous pressurization. So think about it. Something like Falcon 9 has helium tanks, has cryo-helium tanks inside of the RP-1 and the LOX tanks. As the fluid drains out, helium from these COPVs that are inside of the fuel tank get pumped in. The reason why is that you want your pressure delta to not change at all. So think about it, right? The thing goes to launch and you didn't have any ullage. You're going to drain all of the liquid fuel out in that area where the liquid fuel vacated. You're going to have to vent it. So what do you vent it with? You vent it with vacuum? Well, no, you don't want to do that because then the fluid goes out here instead of going into the rocket engine. So you got to fill it with something or else the rocket's going to implode. You ever see that episode of Mythbusters where they made the tanker car implode and it just went, right? You don't want your rocket doing that on the way up. So you need to fill it with something. Now in Falcon 9, they use helium. Now with Falcon 9, that works just fine. It works fine. First stage comes back down. You might be able to scavenge some of that helium. That's what they do when, like, if you see the Falcon 9 coming back on a drone ship, they have stuff plugged into the bottom. I would guess they're trying to scavenge the helium, but I don't know for sure, right? They might. Who knows? But they didn't want to use helium with Starship. Now, why? Why do you not want to use helium with Starship? There's no helium on the moon. In gas form, that is. There's no... Helium's difficult to make here on Earth. And we have a relatively short supply of that stuff down here. If it's difficult here on Earth, where it's the easiest to do things for humans, it's extremely difficult on Mars. You don't want that in your critical pathways to getting to the surface of Mars and back. So how do they make up with it? They use what's called autogenous pressurization. So instead of having helium tanks inside a Starship, right? The Raptor engines have... It's not a tap-off, okay? But it kind of is. It's a pre-burner tap-off. So with Raptor... Say you have your methane preburner and your oxidizer preburner, okay? Right before your preburner inlets, there's some type of heat. You're exchanging the propellants with heat. So, like, they'll take the methane and the oxidizer. I don't know exactly where they do it with the oxidizer. Long story short, you're going to take the liquid propellants before they go into the preburners, and they're going to be staged. They're going to turn into gas, right? There's a tap off before the preburner that goes into a pneumatic system, so a gas system, and then there's two lines that go up the side. I was trying to see if I have the model of it, but whatever. That tap off goes into a pressurized system, and then it goes up, and the two lines on the side of Starship and Super Heavy go. Or actually, there's four on Super Heavy. Two lines on Starship. One goes into the top of the oxidizer tank, and the other one goes into the top of the methane tank. The idea is that when the engines are on, they're using some of the propellant to generate ullage pressure with the taps. They're not called tap offs. They're just a tap off before the preburner, right? but they're using some of that to keep the tanks pressurized. Now, with this design, that opens up the door for, like, you're able to basically generate ullage propellants on demand. Now, keep in mind, and this is my personal theory. This is a personal theory here. Keep in mind, you don't need ignition to turn the turbo pumps on a rocket engine. Especially with Raptor, you can use the pre-burners. I have a theory that that's how SpaceX is going to move propellants around. I think that's probably it. It's a stupid theory. Could be wrong. Probably am. Don't know. But it's viable. Think about it. You start the pre-burners on Raptor. You turn your turbine impellers. You're moving fluid around. And if you're moving fluid around and it exchanges heat, turns to gas before it goes in the pre-burner, you're pressurizing the tanks. You could easily use that to push propellants in the right direction to the header tanks and back. Easily. That'll do it really, really quick. In fact, you might need to worry about running it too long. It'd blow up the header tank. So, yeah, that's just a personal theory, but that's how autogenous pressurization works. It simplifies the design. You know, there are other vehicles that have used autogenous pressurization. Delta uses it. Delta 4 CBCs, that uses AP. The shuttle external tank, SLS core stage, those use autogenous pressurization. Shuttle engines are the same way. That's how they basically made it so every time, when the shuttle was flying, they didn't need an external tank with helium propellants in it. The shuttle makes the ullage propellants. It keeps the external tank design absurdly simple. The external tank is just that. It's just a hydrogen tank, inner stage, pointy LOX tank. Bipod strut in the front and 2 struts in the back. That's it. That's it. And then the foam on it, of course. It's very simple. They use that in the shuttle program to simplify their tank design. So they made the external tank, easier to manufacture, right? Now with Starship, it is easier to manufacture, but once again, that's the critical pathway to the surface of Mars. It goes a lot further than the shuttle does, long story short. Hey, Zerg. Yeah, T-Man, for sure. There's a model right above your head. Yeah, there you go. Wait till they give us full flight onboard view this time. Yeah, right. I think I misphrased my question. When I asked about ullage, I was intending to ask whether Starship had ullage motors or if it didn't. Oh, what it had in the place of ullage motors. Okay. I don't know. I've heard things. Vents. I've heard things, dude. The tank vents. The cowbell tank vents on Super Heavy can work like an ullage thruster. I've heard that Starship has downward facing valves in the engine section. I've heard. Now, keep in mind, you could use the ullage thrusters on Starship to move propellant around. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't you? Now that they're doing hot staging, do they even need ullage motors? Ullage motors aren't just for separation, Alex. The ullage motors on Super Heavy are there for engine relight to make sure that you're not sloshing the propellants around and dry firing a Raptor engine. Dry firing rocket engines is not a good idea. That's a really bad idea. You probably get... Boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Demon, there you go. Mm-hmm. Do you need a valve, or could you just push pure O2 or methane out of the engines? The chill down lines, Katra, could do it, but you'd still need to settle your propellant somehow. Just spin it laterally, then light it. Also, the second part of my essay message, I have another question about your idea for pumping. That being said, that's a really interesting method for pumping, but what's stopping the gas from pushing the fluid out of the way? I really don't have any intuition for how fluids work in 0G. Any imparted acceleration on the longitudinal axis of the vehicle will Any imparted acceleration on the longitudinal, on the long axis of the vehicle. Here, let me show you. Actually, I can use this Coke can. This will work. This is some Coke that I got a little while ago. I'll open this when I retire from streaming. It's probably gone bad. This Coke's like 8 or 9 years old. Anyway, it says EJ on it, which is pretty cool. So, check this out. See the fluid in there? You have gas, you have fluid. Say that Coke is your rocket propellant. If it was Diet Coke, we could put some Mentos in there, and then it really would be a rocket propellant, right? You have a SpaceX model, buddy? Yeah, but that doesn't hold fluid in it. So, see how it's like bubbling around right there? See this? That's what happens when you're in microgravity, only it's everywhere. Just bubbles. There's bubbles everywhere, like this. Like it does basically that. There's nothing keeping the bubbles at one side, right? But if I turn this longitudinal with gravity, you're getting an imparted force on this, and that's pushing it all down. This is how you want your propellants to be when you go to fire a rocket engine. You don't want the rocket engine being here and having that going on there. You don't want to ingest the air into the liquid fuel engine. Very bad. This kills the rocket motor. You're going to get cavitation, which is going to create non-uniform heating. You might spin a bearing in the turbo pump, which, if you know cars, spinning a bearing is bad for the engine. If you know rockets, spinning a bearing is really bad for the engine. That means catastrophic explosion. So, if we had thrusters that were facing down here, and you accelerated the vehicle in this direction, any acceleration or imparted force on the long axis is going to return the propellant into a settled state. Then you can fire the rocket engine. You could use it to do a thermal chill down, which is probably what they'll do. And then, once thermal chill down is complete on the engine, then you can fire it again. No one likes a spun bearing. AP, I've heard horror stories of rocket engines spinning bearings in the turbines, in the turbo pump assembly. Hang on. Drop the bass. Sorry. Was it supposed to do that?
Right. You should be able to hear me now. If you can, see those 5x5s in chat. As mentioned, I don't know. I'm sorry you had to listen to my voice on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. But we are love seeing that. Thankfully, that means you can hear us again. And
I don't know. I'm not on the production loop here for this, but I'm starting to think maybe I should be, because these guys really, and I understand the reasoning why they're doing it, but they really like breaking the cardinal rule of live streaming. The cardinal rule of live streaming is don't change it if it's working. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't even think about doing it. You think you can fix it, but you can't. And when you think, oh yeah, we'll just switch over to this, it's no big deal, stuff like that happens. The yo. That is the cardinal rule of streaming. Don't change something in the middle of a stream. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Yep, go to Blan A question. Blan A question. Question? Hello? Plan? New plan? Question? That is... Yeah, cardinal rule of streaming. That's the number one rule. Don't change something. You change it, it's going to break, people will leave. Simple as that. Margaretti. 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 Go to plan C question. Charles, I know you're driving around one of the most intense G-force tracks in the world, but I have to ask you what you want for dinner. Question. Do you want the spaghetti or the ravioli? Question. I'm trying to race right now. Yes, I know, but it is important for your diet. Question. See, hi. We are checking. We are checking on really, really. We are checking. Ah, leave me alone. I know what to do. Yes, yes. You're telling me this all the time. Anyway, let's see what's going on.
Kind of reverse of
I want to
that. Just
listen.
see
I
the
want to listen to
start
these
and then
guys. See
not
what's
see
going
it.
on over here.
That's why East Coast, Best Coast, Gulf Coast, second best coast. Oh yeah, there's no West Coasters here to make fun of me for that. I love it.
I have no opinions. Just saying, I'm European, so I can have an opinion on this. I should say though, in Spain, the only place that we have a launch site is on the west. Just saying.
But it's East Portugal then, technically, so. Oh no, otherwise.
No, it's not
Sorry.
East
Darn.
Portugal.
Yeah.
It's West Spain. I've been on that launch site. Come on. It's the only launch site that I've stepped onto.
It's 3 a.m. Central Time. I can get my East and West backwards occasionally.
Jack's disappointed in chat.
Well, I'm sorry,
Jack
Jack.
is very easy to disappoint, to be fair, because you say, I
That's
don't like
true.
bacon, I don't know.
Yeast. I thought you said
The
West.
West Coast, I like Buran. That kind of thing disappoints him, so it's very
What he
easy.
posts in food chat in the members Discord or not bagels, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For example.
I mean, but I think sometimes it is also easy to make Jack happy. Like I'll tell you, Jack, my breakfast this morning, and let's hope I pronounce this right, is carbonara. If I did my best like Italian accent there, but yeah, that's what I had this morning. Maybe Jack will be happy with that one.
Who is that?
Carbonara.
Yeah.
Jack, they are not bagels, and I will fight you on that. And anyone who becomes Capcom and above, I want you, once you join, to go into the food chat, take a look at some of Jack's pictures, and tell me whether or not that's a bagel or not. Just saying. One of the perks of being one of the perks of our Discord, get to hopefully back me up on what an actual bagel should be. I mean, I'm a bagel purist. You'll see my name in the members Discord includes bagel purist, but anyway, I do want to mention that there was a whole bunch of you that got memberships here thanks to Mats Goslar. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, who gifted 50 Red Team memberships. If you did get one of those gifted memberships, please make sure
bagels,
to give
right?
Mats a
He
big
knows a
thank you on that.
beautiful
And thank
bagel. You
you
gotta
as
put the
well
beautiful frickin'
for that
bagel in
generous
there.
support. I
PY
know we've been
with a
saying this
75
all morning
months
here,
resub.
but
Thank you very
we
much.
genuinely mean it. That
Appreciate
this
it.
support
Thank you very much.
really helps
Very
us go,
supportive.
keeps us going, allows us to bring you these amazing views, all of these different live broadcasts, everything
I'm gonna
leading up
play
to the
that.
launch.
I'm gonna play that alert again.
It's
Boom.
only because of that support.
Discovery,
And as
go
we
at throttle
mentioned,
up.
if you can't support us monetarily, just watching, giving a like, subscribing, that kind of stuff, also is a huge help. It lets other people know, hey,
That's lying to these
I like
people
this
is not
stuff.
okay.
Maybe you will
That's
too.
not a good thing to do.
So we can
provide
convert more
meaningful
people into
educational
space geeks.
information
Ha,
here.
ha, ha.
We don't do this
It's
information.
the
Okay?
ultimate plan. It's how we scheme. Yes. Yep.
Anyway, back to actual Starship questions here. Here's a question from Mr. Banana. We'll see, Alex, if you have the numbers on this
I'm good,
one.
Shannon. How
Of
are
How
you?
much propellant
I'm doing
can
just
the
fine.
tank farm hold, and how much does it take to fuel Starship? So I guess in a way, is there a backup to potentially go for another?
I gotta work
try
now,
in,
so I'll
say,
have you in the
24
background.
hours?
Okay.
Yeah. So right now,
Vegemite, bro. Your Australian showing.
basically,
Put it away.
load what
That's
will
indecent.
what will be the equivalent of essentially a rocket and like a 20% more of the rocket, right? So it's like 1.2, 1.3 full stacks, right? What that means is that even with a like
I'm debating
even
whether
with
to
a
stay for the launch
faster
and catch up.
propellant
in-
load that we're gonna have today,
Catch up on
I
some
do
end
not
of the
think
term
they are
homework.
able to.
Dude, just have this on in the background. Get your work done, Rocket Man. Trust me. Gotta go make myself some breakfast. See you in a bit. Thanks for the stream and answering my random sleep deprivation fueled questions. Of course, someone. That's what I do. What do you think of the Japanese... What do you think of the Japanese whaling fleet will think when they see Starship falling on them? There's not Mars. There is a contingency zone that you're not allowed to sail into where it's landing. Yeah, notice to the marine traffic. Yeah, there's like a don't sail here, so that I don't think they'd have to worry about it. Yeah, Balxy, I'm still here. I took an hour or two break, but yeah, and then I did a segment at the NSF cast, and now I'm gonna do another segment here in a little bit. Whenever they annoy me, I mean,
Brian was saying
ping
before,
me.
they're about to do that, so hopefully maybe in the future that'll be a possibility. Falcon 9 can
Castle
do that, for
Bravo.
example. Falcon Heavy.
Castle Bravo was the ultimate Michael Bolton. I always screw up some mundane detail. He didn't carry the one. Oops. Whoops. Teller was like, huh. Oh, that it's a little bigger than I anticipated. That's not right. True story. True story. You guys watch Oppenheimer? You know that guy Teller? You know, remember the part where he said in Oppenheimer, where he said, "Oh, just build a bigger bomb." Yeah, he went and did that. And then he forgot to carry the one and made a bigger bomb. The biggest bomb the US has ever set off. Whoops. Whoopsies. Didn't realize both isotopes would breed tritium for the reaction. Yep. Tritium makes nuclear blow up real good. The H guy, yes. Teller. Dude, when Brimo and I saw Oppenheimer in the theater, there was that part where Teller and Oppenheimer are having that conversation, right? And Oppenheimer's having all these dilemmas. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. You know." And then Teller's like, "So what? Just, you know," he's like, what if we get into an arms race? What are we going to do? And Teller's like, "So what? Just make a bigger bomb." I'm like, I thought that was really funny. I was like, but I was the only one that laughed in the movie theater. Like, people were like turning back and looking at me. I'm like, whoops. Whoops. Now, see, the people in the movie theater probably thought, yeah, he just wants a bigger bomb. What an idiot. Oh, yeah, I get it. Bigger bombs. Yeah, let's make a bigger bomb, bro. Like, no. I was laughing because that's what Teller actually did. Yeah, that's what he did. He invented the hydrogen bomb. Yeah, he made a bigger bomb. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. It's a joke in the movie that nobody got, and I was the only one that laughed. And Brimo asked me about it later, and I had to explain it like a putz. Oh, boy. Just a reminder that Teller proposed a 1 gigaton nuke for asteroid defense. Don't have to worry about Kessler syndrome if you vaporize the asteroid. You think we'll ever see a nuclear starship? No. I don't think so. It's brilliant physics, Alex, to be honest. That's some real nerd stuff right there. Tritium, deuterium, like that's Oh yeah, okay. Let's just take this tritium and just ram it into another tritium. Whatever, it'll be fine. Nothing bad. Oh, something bad happened. Whoops. Yeah, that's right. Scary stuff. Yeah, for sure. It's okay. Your explanation of that moment led me to laugh too, which confused everyone. I don't know, dude. It's funny. Like they put that joke in there and no one laughed at it. People are like, "Oh my god, he wants to make a bigger bomb." I'm sitting here going, "Yes, he did that. That's what he did. That's funny." Y'all ain't laughing though. Okay. Yeah, his delivery was good. Just build a bigger bomb. Because you can, with my way. With your way, you can't make bigger bomb. In my way, you make much bigger bomb. Build a bigger one. Yep, that's a good idea. Teller was kind of a jerk, though. Because somebody that's in the right mental capacity is going to develop something like the hydrogen bomb, Shannon. I mean, I would expect nothing less. I would be very worried if Teller was a normal, well-rounded person. Sane people don't make up stuff like that. All right, you need to be a special kind of smart to make something like that. Anyway, let's see what's going back on over in the cast.
How much, if any, of the CH4, the methane, leaks out during the fueling, or is that also vented?
Well, I can take that. They try
I'll be
to
right back.
recover
1
as
second,
much
guys. I'm gonna take a
methane
piss.
as they can.
Listen to Alex's
Essentially, they have
sultry,
reclaimers all
beautiful
across
Spanish
the
accent.
vehicles. They
Listen
try
to it.
to essentially
I'm going
all
to
of
go
the
to the
boiling,
bathroom. I'll be right
of
back.
that methane, they try to reclaim it. In fact, if you we don't have it right now, but obviously, if you were able to see the QD of basically the quick disconnect, of the either the booster or the ship, you will see one of the lines says something along the lines of like gaseous methane reclaimer or something like along those lines. I don't really know the exact wording, but it's along the same line. So they essentially have a dedicated line on that connection to each of the vehicles that it is in charge of reclaiming that gaseous methane from the tank and turning it back into the ground tanks. For that, they also have a recondenser as well that then turns it into a liquid and puts it back onto the ground tanks. That helps because that means you can use that again. So the methane, for example, is not that much of a loss, even with the boil off. The oxygen, though, they do vent some of that boil off, not entirely, but a huge majority of it is vented. As for the nitrogen, because they use nitrogen for the subcoolers, as Ryan was talking about before, those subcoolers are loaded with liquid nitrogen. And obviously, when you have liquid nitrogen inside and outside is basically ambient temperature, right? As Ryan was mentioning before, you need to, because that liquid nitrogen will obviously warm up and boil off and everything. So you need some way to vent that nitrogen. That nitrogen will boil off, will escape, will be lost to the atmosphere. So in the sense of what is the from less to more, I guess, of material that is lost to the atmosphere. Essentially, the methane is the least that is lost. Then the oxygen is coming more or less on second position there, and the nitrogen is the one that is lost the most. In fact, that is sort of the limiting factor for a turnaround for for doing all of these sort of recycles that we were talking about before, because when we saw, for example, on the flight one attempt, the first attempt, there were over 100 tankers of liquid nitrogen arriving at the launch pad. I believe for liquid oxygen was like a couple dozen, and for methane, I think it was like a handful of them. It was not even more than 5 or 6. So the difference in how much nitrogen, how much liquid oxygen, and how much liquid methane they lose is precisely, I guess, that sort of delivery during that retry is sort of like the proof is in the pudding. That's the pudding, right? Where they needed a lot of liquid nitrogen, but much less of the liquid oxygen, and even much less of the liquid methane. So yeah, they recover a lot of these things because not only it is expensive, but also takes a lot of time to handle putting all of these stuff
I
into,
really like crap
into the
posting
tank
in
farm.
the NSF
So
chat.
yeah.
It really
So I guess even
makes
the
me happy.
price is not even a problem. It's just that the time that
He
it takes
said
to
the
put it back.
proof was in the
Go ahead.
pudding.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't load as fast as the vehicle does.
Goalie,
and
you have
that's a
two
really good point.
past questions. What's on your mind, dog?
Nitrogen
Second part is pending on how this is answered. Does Starship use T-Tab? No.
or sort of tanks in the chines, things like that. So, Brian, where is the nitrogen on the whole vehicle, and what is actually
Nitrogen stored in the balls.
I remember correctly.
What about lighting Earth's atmosphere on fire? Yeah, Chief, don't worry about that. It's fine.
But the COPVs mostly hold like helium for spin start of the Center 13 engines for the boost back, or not Center 13B, or the Ring of 10.
Yes, I know where you are right
and
now.
then along with that, they have gaseous methane and liquid oxygen that they need. Liquid oxygen, gaseous oxygen.
Oh, that's Ryan. Yeah.
For the torch igniters,
Yeah.
so they basically fired igniter.
Yeah, that's right.
and put
Ryan
some
was
gaseous.
Ryan was with
Just
us
put
there.
some O2 and CH4 in there and light it off.
Dude, we have
to
the same
light
haircut.
the igniters.
Hell yeah.
And then
Hell yeah, we
on
got the same
other
haircut,
turbines,
brother.
They have the
Oh,
CO2
brother!
Tanks. These are large, like stainless steel tanks, basically, that hold the CO2 for the engine purge system. So it's basically like a large fire extinguisher, is what they've come up with to help prevent
has more
engine
hair?
fires and stuff like that.
It's not a race.
So yeah, and also one fun thing I wanted to add is for looking forward for Starship. When it comes to tank farm stuff, I am really curious about what SpaceX's solution is to 4 or 5 launches in a single day. We're talking at that point, even 3 launches, you're talking 15,000 metric tons of propellant. Where are you going to store that? And that, or even more than that. I've always envisioned them needing those massive LNG tanks that are at ports. Just have a bunch of those off to the side with a ton of subcoolers and pumps, and they don't really have the room at Boca to do that. Maybe at the Cape, but we'll have to wait and see what they can do.
Yeah, and Matthew basically had that exact question of, if there's
Your
only
boy's starting to get
1.3
tired.
loads in the tank farm, how will they realize that fast turnaround, and how big would the tank farm need to be to launch every 48 hours? Alex, do we have any idea of what solutions there might be for that?
Well, there are certainly a lot of different solutions that you could apply to this problem. Anything from pipelines to a larger tank farm. The problem of a larger tank farm
not
is you
bad.
still need some trucks to arrive at your tank
Not
farm
bad at
and
all.
and basically fill it up.
One
Even
hop.
using a
3 hour,
pipeline,
34
you need a
minutes.
constant supply from somewhere,
Didn't even ask,
right? So
how's the
that
garage
somewhere
looking?
needs to also be supplied and
Pretty good.
everything. It becomes an issue, right?
Got
when you
both
think about
trucks
it
in the
with
stable
such a
right
huge
now.
vehicle
Messing with
trying
the
to launch
exhaust with this one.
not just 3
You know
times
today's
per day,
time
but
window.
3 times per day from the same launch
a,
pad, for
uh,
example, right?
It's
Like,
a window
and
that goes
that's
from
like
7 to
a,
11.
a low ball kind of thing.
So, yeah,
I don't
we
even
could be
know
going
right
here
now
for
the
another,
exact wording here.
8
But
hours.
that is a conservative estimate with whatever Elon mentions always. He's like 1 hour turnaround for stuff like that.
you
And
can
I'm
hear the
hearing
train
again
in
your
Sawyer's
train, by
background.
the way. It's always amazing.
You've
The
got a
hot
great train of thought going. I don't want to interrupt it.
Yeah, there you go. And so, one option could be as well, because there's
7-Eleven,
always the
get some
option of,
Slurpees.
oh, couldn't they make their own methane and things like that, like Sabatier process and all of that, and their own liquid oxygen? Liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen is somewhat easy to get because it's on the, basically you just have to filter out it from the air, and in turn you can get argon, which is the third most common gas in the atmosphere, and you can use that for not only welding, because it's used on welding Starship,
I'm gonna see
but
if I
also
can-
on Starlink, because now argon is also used on the Starlink thrusters. So that is also a benefit that you get there. But with the methane, you still need a way to be able to, to capture all the CO2 and everything, and you need a way to power all of that. Not just for the methane, but also for the liquid oxygen, the air separation unit, basically. They had to remove that from the Sanchez lot out there at Starbase, precisely because the power consumption will just break all of the the environmental stuff that they wanted to do. It's like no, let's not get into there because otherwise the environmental stuff will take so much time to approve and everything. Let's not go that route. And they eventually canceled that. That air separation unit is removed. So of course there are multiple opportunities and multiple different options, but those will take a long time and a lot of work and obviously a lot of money. So yeah. Oh, I did the sign with the money and
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
yeah.
That air separation unit, they barely had the power to basically run it. They barely had the
What's
power
with the
to
ugly
run
Christmas
the
sweater? I don't know,
piece
man.
and
That's
all
what
the
he
welding
wanted. That's
equipment
what
for a
he
while.
wanted to wear. I
And it
told him
wasn't
that his
until
chroma's
middle of this
going a
year
little bit.
that they
See if
basically
he
started
changes it.
hooking up to the main grid by laying trenches, laying a ton of high voltage, even medium voltage cables, as well as laying data lines all the way to the launch site. So, like, just to say,
Hang on.
the launch site used to run off of local generators. Like they used to use like diesel generators to run stuff,
Oh.
which is kind of crazy to think that they used to run it all off that, and now they're fully like tapped in. So it's
This is cool. Too bad it's the last Delta payload. Yeah, it's sad
Yeah,
seeing Delta go out like that.
I remember that back when it was, again, you had everything, all the lights even were running off of the trailers and the generators, and it seemed kind of makeshift, but let me tell you, things have come a very long way with the launch pad and the area. So
who would not like this stream? I don't
why don't we
know.
play a video about it?
So fellas, I'm gonna. Oh, there's Adrian. I'm gonna go back on here. Here, let's see if the feed is still good. Give me one sec. Nope. Hang on. Give me 1 second, dudes. Perhaps we could do